Joining me now on Illinois Lawmakers is Republican State Representative Wayne Rosenthal of Morrisonville. Good to have you back on the program, sir.
Yeah, thank you. It's been several years. I
It
was
has
gone 3
been.
years, Jak, so it's nice to be back.
You were director of the Illinois Department of Natural Resources under former Governor Bruce Rauner, and you're back in the House now. Good to have you back. You've got kind of a unique viewpoint on government service, not only in the House and as an agency director, but also as a retired brigadier general in the Illinois Air National Guard. How does all of that service give you kind of a unique viewpoint into how everything works at the Capitol?
Well, first of all, I've dealt with a lot on the federal level, having spent 30 years in the military flying F-4s. And then I've also been involved with the Soil and Water Conservation Districts, the local school board. I'm still a trustee at Lincoln Land Community College, and it's all about giving back to the local community and how we can better serve the people. But, I told people when I got elected the first time, the difference between the military and being on the House floors is just a different arena. You still have to deal with people. You still have to figure out how to solve problems. In a lot of cases, in this case, the challenge is the super minority that we're in, and they're in the super majority.
We're talking on a Thursday, and the expected or the scheduled adjournment date is midnight on Friday night. And from all accounts, it doesn't look like lawmakers are going to be able to make that.
Well, the budget needs to be heard 3 days, and we're in the 2 days from the end, and we have not had a budget plan put out yet or any kind of product. So if it's assuming it gets out today, we can hear it today, tomorrow, and one day next week. But it may or may not get out today because there's a lot of work still being going on. The last several years with COVID, they were flush with money, and this year they're not. And especially with the Medicaid, undocumented medical problems, it just creates a lot of complexity.
That's going to be a large hurdle to clear as the Democrats especially have to work this out amongst themselves and the governor.
Yes, so we will look at it when we get it. We have no idea for sure what's going to be in it, and until we do, then and like I said, most of the fighting is going to be behind closed doors before it gets to us, I think.
I want to talk to you about a couple of bills that you've been working on during this session. Central Illinois, of course, suffered a terrible tragedy back on May 1st that claimed up to 8 lives because of that.
Today, yes.
Yeah, after that big dust storm south of Springfield on I-55. You've got a bill, Senate Bill 2253, that would help those volunteers who were so critical in the aftermath of that situation. What does the bill do?
Well, so what it does is any volunteer firefighter that makes less than $10,000 a year and has put in at least 9 months during the year would receive a $500 tax credit. And so if you look, almost all the rural parts of Illinois are covered by volunteer firefighters, and they're the ones that show up first all along the interstates. And in this case, that's who was there initially. They had some help from, I think, Springfield, Litchfield, and other places that have full-time firefighters, but the first responders that were there were volunteers.
And there's bipartisan support for this bill.
A big time. And I think they've been working on it for several years, but unfortunately, the accident highlighted the importance of it.
There's another bill that you're working on, and your military experience comes into play with this House Bill 2288 as it relates to veterans and the state procurement code. What would that do?
Yeah, so what happened was other minority businesses had passed this in the past, and the veterans had just inadvertently got left off of it. So I thought it was important to include the veterans. So we added that, and obviously I think it's going to pass without any objection.
And I understand there's a requirement that gross sales be something like, it was originally less than 75 million, and now it changes up to what, 150 million?
It goes up to 150 million because of, with all the inflation and everything, it doesn't take much for a small business to get to 75 million. So going to 150 million helps and includes, like I said, the veterans, and the other minority businesses and small business were already included up to that.
And where does that stand now in the final passage stage?
I think it's over in the Senate. I have not heard if they've accepted it and agreed with it or not.
So we may still hear more on that in the next couple of days.
I don't expect any amendments on it, so I would think it would just go from the Senate straight to the governor's office.
Representative Wayne Rosenthal, thank you so much for your time on Illinois Lawmakers. Good to have you back with us, sir.
No, thank you very much. Appreciate it.